Well, chapter 4 is where we are today in our book. So Tim Elmore's book, The 8 Paradoxes of Great Leadership. So today's paradox is probably the one that I was looking forward to the most because my wife and other people in my life, probably my nieces and my nephews and my cousins, would call me stubborn. So I think I resonate with this one really well. So today's paradox is uncommon leaders are both stubborn and open-minded. Now, when you think of that, you would not think that that's even possible to be both. I'm going to challenge us today that as a leader, you need to have a little bit of that stubbornness and still be open-minded. Also, when I was going through this, it was one that I really loved because I felt like it really fit with what we use as called the phrase own it. So if you break it down as I'm going to be open to change and growth, I'm going to wrestle with ideas and concepts, I'm going to involve others, I'm never going to compromise the important, I'm going to involve others, and I'm going to be totally committed. I believe that the stubborn side and the open-minded side can go through both of these. And that's what I want to do in just the next few minutes is kind of give you an overview of this, see what you think, see if there's any questions. But I do believe that our world needs to see leaders that are a little bit more strong and also leaders that are a little bit more open-minded. And if we can have both, man, what could we do for the cause of Christ? What can we do in organizations? What can we do in churches? What can we do in families? What can we do in our community? And maybe even possibly what could be done in government. So let's look at stubborn first. From the book, I love this definition. A stubborn leader is like a mule digging his heels into the ground. So think about that. I've got a dog that when it is cold outside, that dumb dog does not want to go outside in the morning. She doesn't want to go out. She's like, just sits down there right at the door. I go, I know you got to go to the bathroom. You've been inside all day, and you're not going to the basement to go to the bathroom, so you're going to go outside. But I have to push her out of the door. So the idea of stubborn is like you think, I'm digging in, I'm not going to move, I'm immovable right now. So as a leader, you need to be a little bit stubborn. So let's use the own it to figure this out. To be open to change and growth. As a stubborn leader, there are times that you have to be okay with, this is right, I'm not moving. This is right, I'm not moving. So I'm not open to change at this point. There will become points in your careers that you will be asked to do something that you know is wrong. And you've got to be stubborn enough to be like, I've got my heels in the ground, I'm not moving. Because what happens in life, nobody woke up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to embezzle $1 million from an organization. They had a slippery slope. They didn't do the books real clean on this one. Maybe they didn't turn a receipt in, or they took $20 here, or they used money in a certain way here. Nobody woke up and said, you know what, today I'm going to embezzle. It's because they didn't have that stubbornness to be like, I'm not open to change and growth in this area. The wrestle with ideas and concepts. If you're a stubborn leader, sometimes it's your responsibility to get other people to see from your perspective. It doesn't mean that you're always right, but it's if you're the leader, you can't always be agreeable and liked. There are times that you will make decisions that it is your responsibility to get other people to wrestle with that. So learning how to ask good questions, not taking it personal, but just making the decision. And then never compromise the important for being stubborn. You've got to have those non-negotiables in your life. What are those non-negotiables in your life? So for me, there's a couple of them here at Cedarville. One thing I will never do, it's not that I don't trust you and you don't trust me, but if you are a lady, we will not drive in the same car, just you and me together. It's a non-negotiable. I will not meet behind closed doors with a female that works at Cedarville without the door cracked a little bit and me sitting a little closer out. It's a non-negotiable for me. It's not a thing of trust. It's just I have seen in the Christian world, I have seen in the business world where boundaries get too blurry and mistakes happen. So I don't want that. So how do I involve others when I'm a stubborn leader? Well, I've got to do my best to make sure you understand why I'm being stubborn. There are times raising a 16, well, he's not 16 yet, but he'll be 16 in 20 days. So raising almost a 16-year-old kid, a 14-year-old girl, and a 12-year-old crazy kid, there are times that it's my responsibility to make sure they understand the why behind my decision. It doesn't mean I change, but I have to make sure they understand that. And that's how I involve them. I've got to make sure that Keegan understands this is why I'm making this decision. And then the total commitment on stubborn, I just got to be okay to be me. And can I tell you, I struggle with that because I want you to like me. I want people to like me. And in being a stubborn leader, in being principle-driven and conviction-driven, sometimes people won't like you. They won't like your decisions. They won't understand your decisions. And you know what? You got to be okay with that because God has put you in that position. There will be times that you have colleagues that are with you that will not like you because you're principle-driven. But you know what? I have found in my life that the more principle-driven you are, the more accepting people are. I know I've shared the story about my time at the Disney Institute where I was there and there was a guy who, he was gay. And it was fine, and we were hanging out, we were talking, and he asked me what I did for a living. I told him I worked at a Christian college, and he looked me square in the eye, and he goes, so we can't be friends now. That's what he told me. And I go, no, I can still be your friend. My conviction, I said, I just don't agree with your lifestyle, but my conviction still is that you're an image bearer of God, and I can love you, and I can be your friend, and I can hang out with you. It blew the guy away, but conviction did that. What happens if I would have sat back and go, I don't really know what to do right now? I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So you have to be stubborn. But you also have to be open-minded. And I love this one too. The open-minded leader is kind of like that octopus on roller skates. You know, octopus, several legs. You know, on roller skates going in several different directions. That's open-minded. You've got to have that stubbornness, but you've also got to be open-minded. So how do we do that? Well, in stubborn-mindedness or an openness, you've got to be open to change. So basically, do you listen? There are times that I know that I just need to listen because I don't know everything. And sometimes my ideas is not the best idea. This idea might not be the best idea, but we come to a conclusion and a consensus that there's another idea that's a better idea. How do I wrestle with that? Well, if I'm going to be open-minded, I've got to wrestle and believe about, and I got to face the problem, and I got to attack the problem and not fall in love with the method. So at Cedarville, Cedarville goes through changes and seasons. I've been now at Cedarville for this is my 21st year. So I've been through seasons of change at Cedarville. Presidential changes, vice presidential changes, office changes, whatever. But whenever those changes happen, there's the opportunity to be like, okay, well, I know we've always done it this way, but is there a better way? Is there a better way moving forward? And that means being open-minded, to wrestle with that. Never compromising the important and open-minded. This is where the stubborn part and the other part needs to be really clear. So in stubborn, I'm not going to give up the non-negotiables. In open-minded, I'm going to realize that everything is a relationship. So I'm not going to fight with Spencer on something. And even though I'm right, I'm not going to win at all costs. Because if I win at all costs, I lose because I destroyed the relationship. So that's like never compromising the important, realizing that it's about relationships, not about ideas. Involving others, I've got to get people involved. I got to get people around. A few weeks ago, we drove down to the JS venue, and we were talking, and there were ideas going through there, and there were some other ideas that came up, and that's just kind of being open-minded and go, okay, guys, what do you think? Where do you think we should go with this? How should it work? Where should we go? There was no decisions made, but I feel like there was relationships built because we were open-minded. And then the total commitment of that, being open-minded, is you're willing to listen at all costs. You're willing to fight like you're right, but listen like you're wrong. Think through that. I want to fight that my ideas are right because I'm a little bit of a stubborn leader, and we all should be. But I need to listen like I'm dead wrong. And if I do that, I'm going to grow, or it's going to solidify ideas I had, or I'm going to change the ideas that I had. So some of the principles that we talk about, let me break it down, are strategies that you can do this. To be stubborn and open-minded, lead by principle. Don't lead by your feelings, lead by the principle. If it's about people, lead with people in mind. Number 2, lead in a way that makes things better. Lead in a way that makes things better. Are you a leader that just does the same old for alt nights, for coffee, for SGA, whatever, for CSG? No, lead in a way that makes things better. And that might mean that you have to be stubborn and change things where people don't like change. It's okay. Growth happens in change. Growth happens in friction. Lead with the problem in mind. Don't fall in love with the solution. Well, we've always answered the phones this way. Why? Or we've always done things this way at Renova, or always done things this way at Ops. Well, why? You don't fall in love with the solution, fall in love with the problem. Lead to win, but don't win at all cost. That's the definition of a true stubborn leader. Is like, I'm going to win and nobody else is going to win. Now, lead to win, but understand that there are times that you don't need to push as hard because you don't want to hurt the relationship when that happens. And sometimes, guys, being the stubborn leader, it means that you will take it on the chin, even though you're right and they're wrong. That's happened this week to our office, where other people have been wrong, and I'm like, man, I want to nail them to the wall. But in doing that, I'm going to destroy the relationship, which destroys the opportunity to continue to work with them. And then lead with the knowledge that you need others. In the book, it talks about leading in a way that this is the generation, you guys are the generation that I'm going to learn from. I didn't like that. I'm just kidding, I did. But leading from this generation, I need to learn from you. You need to learn from me. I need to learn from you. But the idea is that with technology right now, if I hand you my phone, you can fix it better, easier than I can fix it. Right now, Keegan can fix my phone at 16 easier than I can fix my phone at 16. Or wherever, I'm not 16, almost 50. But the whole idea of that is we've got to understand that you're leading with the knowledge that you do need others. So, in summary, uncommon leaders are both stubborn and open-minded. Here's the 2 boxes that we always look at. If I'm stubborn, my team sees or witnesses my tenacity, my drive, my desire. If I'm open-minded, the team recognizes or sees my teachability. You see the difference? I got tenacity. I'm ready to go. I'm strong, but I'm teachable. You see how those work together? If you're only teachable, then it's like, what the heck does this guy even think? If you're only like, I'm always right, well, I don't want to work for that dude because he's just a pain in the butt. Where is it in the middle? They hold each other in balance. People see I can stick to my decisions when I'm stubborn, which is important. I need to be able to stick to my decisions. People see that I can't accept others' ideas, okay? If I'm stubborn, I'm viewed as a leader with convictions. There's a book by Elmore that says we don't need it's lead by conviction. And basically the premise of that book is the world doesn't need more fancy and smart leaders. They need people with conviction who are willing to lead. Conviction that are willing to lead. For open-minded, I'm viewed as a leader who is adaptable. So yeah, I want to lead with convictions, but I want to know that the world changes. I want to be reverent to Scripture, but not reverent to things that I do in my workplace. Because Scripture doesn't change. The workplace changes, doesn't it? People come, people go. Money comes, money goes. Laws come, laws go. Technology increases. But what happens a lot of times is we try to be reverential in the way that we've always done things, and it gets us to where we're stuck in the mud and we're not open-minded and we're stubborn. If I'm stubborn, obstacles will not get in my way. I try to teach my daughter that when she's playing sports. It's like, be stubborn. Don't be afraid of that person. That's your ball. That's your lane that you can go down, and it's okay. When you're stubborn, obstacles won't get in your way. When you're open-minded, opportunities will not be missed. You see how they work together. You need to be driven and be like, you know what? I think we live in a world right now that when things happen, we all shut down. And I'm not here to negate mental health or any of that. That's not what I'm saying, because that is a real, and I'm glad that the church is finally admitting that as something that's real and it's a crisis. But we all as leaders need to realize that when you go into the workplace, some things will go wrong. And it's okay to say, like, I'm going to work through that. Even though it hurts, I'm going to work through that. But also have the open-mindedness enough to, I'm going to look for these opportunities to grow and make things better. And last, others know what's important to me when I'm stubborn. As a leader, it's important that you know my family is important to me. And I got to be stubborn about that. You need to see, hey, I can't be here at this, or I got to leave real quick and go get the kids or go get Danielle. It's important that you see that. But you also see open-minded that others know that the mission trumps method. The whole idea, it's about the mission, not about the method. It's about what makes us better as a team, not what makes things easy for me. So the idea of stubborn, the mule digging his feet into the ground, and open-minded, the octopus on roller skates, how do you combine the two? How do you be stubborn when you need to be, but willing to change and be adaptable when it's required? I think that as a leader is going to be probably one of the hardest things that you have to do, because you're going to be put in situations where you're like, I just need to be adaptable right now. Or you're going to be put in situations where you're going to need to have conviction, because if you don't, you're going to hurt your testimony, or you're going to make a decision that's going to hurt your family with real life circumstances. And that's really, really important. I know in my family, there's been situations where family members have done things, and then all of a sudden it's like there's real life situational consequences now. And you need to know that, and you have to be prepared for that, and that's why you need to be stubborn. But I also have family members that are so stuck in their ways that they do things over and over and over and over and over again. And let me just say this so that nobody thinks it's my sister. It's not. So, because Megan's in the room. But the whole idea of that is I have family members that are so stuck in their ways and they're unwilling to be open-minded that they've missed opportunities for things. And I've been both of those. I've been so stubborn at times because it makes my life easier. And I haven't been open-minded. Or I've been too open-minded because I didn't want to do the hard thing and say no to somebody and be forthright and honest. So I was open-minded, but I was weak. You got to be both. You got to be the mule and the octopus. Figure out what kind of animal that is, and draw a picture, and bring it back to me. All right? So stubborn-minded, or stubborn and open-minded. So stubborn-minded, maybe that's what we need to call it. All right? So that's what you need to do. So try that, own it in your life, everything you do, understand your convictions, understand that people trump everything, and live in a way that will honor and glorify God in that way, but also live out Romans 12 and outdoing one another in showing honor.